Hi there, my name's Jen Malinga, and it's my pleasure to share a little presentation on the coach-athlete partnership. I would say that this can also be directed to parents. And it's really in response to a request to share my experience and insights with a more values-based coaching approach and the concept of power balance and how that all relates to a safer, truer, more quality, safe sport experience for all. I come from, well, Victoria, BC, and I grew up in Peterborough, Ontario, but I live on the lands of the Lekwungen and Kusepsin First Nations. This is my beautiful campus that looks out over the Olympic Mountains and the Haro Strait. I've done some research with my friends Danielle, Patricia, and Bart, and this work is really captured in an article as well that you can find online. And what it does is it really documents my experience in sport as a national team rower, where we took the case of the 92 group, that 92 quad of rowing teams for Canada that won several gold medals, and unpacked it to try to understand the elements and components that contributed to that success. And in the process, really realized we found quite a nugget of truth and insight that relates to how to foster a more power balanced and safe sport experience for all. I always highlight that bridge because it really illustrates the idea of power balance as well, understanding difference before we try to bridge. So minding the gap before you bridge the gap is crucial to relationship building in sport as well. Good coaching, good parenting is about understanding the other person before we try to actually develop some sort of relationship or partnership. And partnership is my favorite word for sure. Everything is founded on this fundamental principle that there is truth in sport, that everything we need to learn about sport, or about anything, frankly, I think we can learn from sport. So if we look to sport, which is what we did by studying this team from 1990s, we can understand the solutions to some of the challenges I think we're facing as well. And really, the issue of safe sport drills down for us to power imbalance. When people are imbalanced, all manner of tragedies can unfold, but people behave poorly. And you've probably all experienced this. If you feel powerless, it can really destroy your confidence, which can cause you to underperform. But it can also create people who then kind of pander or collude or conform to try to gain some sort of power or success or support. Those who are in power who have power over others, and they're in that imbalance of power, also behave poorly, and they can exert their power and abuse their power in ways that are completely unhelpful or even harmful. So we see lots of this. When a coach or leader controls selection or belonging or access or information, reputation or resources, it can be very dangerous because they hold the other person who doesn't have as much power, often the athlete, kind of hostage. And athletes in particular are very vulnerable because of their passion for their sport. So they're willing to sacrifice, compromise their values, compromise what they think might be right or their morality, question their reality, and accept being gaslit into believing something else is true, like that being abused is okay. They're willing to do that because at stake is their deep, deep passion. So that's why coaching and parenting athletes is such a, completely whole job, because you're looking after not only their bodies and minds, but their souls, their spirits. So how do we achieve power balance? Well, we looked at this little group from the 90s that had so much success, and we unpacked all sorts of great things. If you want to see more, you can read that article. But the key piece really was around, well, how on earth did we manage to, despite steroids, poor politics, placing, and resource constraints in 1988, manage then, and to basically not even make the medal table in any way, shape, or form. It was swept by the Eastern Bloc countries, as you can see here, except for two little outliers there and there. To this in 1991 and 2, actually it was the same. We almost swept. We didn't enter these events up here, but we almost swept the gold medals. Not much else had changed. There's still lots of Romanian, German, and Soviet Union teams competing, and still probably lots of steroid use, but we were able to overcome that. How? Well, we believe it had to do with power balance, the partnership model. So the way that this was all framed for us was that the coach and athlete were equals and we were partners. So the coach presented and has responsibilities, of course, to come prepared with knowledge of the science to the physiology and how to the training program and the environment, who we're competing against and what the challenge truly was. And we have a responsibility to show up prepared physically, mentally, and spiritually, to really commit, right? But what the coach did was present an invitation to partner in achieving a shared goal. And when he presented that shared vision and mission, it was a standard of excellence, not just on the water. It was a certain time we needed to hit in order to be the fastest in the world. So it wasn't about winning a gold medal. That was really important. It was about achieving excellence. And we would both play a role in achieving that. He was promising to provide the training program and pathway to achieve it. We were promising, by agreeing and to commit to this pathway, to fulfill our obligations and complete the training, right? And achieve those markers in order to achieve the ultimate shared goal or target of our gold medal standards. But not only was it on the water, but also off the water. Standards of excellence that we both agreed were essential for us to achieve optimal performance. And so that meant being true champions, healthy, cohesive, and reputationally strong, right? Being able to be real citizens and contributors to society as well, not thinking that we're somehow entitled to be privileged or above everybody else. And then we shared the resources to achieve that, right? It wasn't about him doling out resources. The resources were there. They were there and placed in a way that was to support us. It wasn't that we were also fighting for resources, because that can make teams then compete internally as well. This model was essential to our success and is totally possible now. And as parents and coaches, you can insist on it. You can frame your conversations, your communication, but also the environment so that it reflects this kind of a power balanced model. In this way, we are interdependent. No one's more important than one another, and we're going to behave beautifully because we're all very clear that this is a partnership, shared goals, and we're striving to do this together. It helps to clarify responsibilities and expectations as well. And probably most importantly, it positions the resources in the right place. It isn't like we're our shared goal isn't to achieve those resources or garner those resources. They are there. So that's another important thing to think about as parents and coaches. How do you ensure that the resources are there and that isn't distracting from or compromising our focus on the actual goal, which is about human development? Now, the last thing I'd like to say about this shared vision and mission is that standards of excellence do not have to be Olympic speeds or heights or strengths, right? They can be fun. That can be a standard of excellence. It can be about welcoming people and building community. It can be about building friendships. It can be about having success of some kind, achieving skill, developing skill, achieving some kind of goal. It can be any kind of goal. Making one basket in an evening of grade 4 nightly basketball is a real achievement, So it's about being scaling your standards of excellence to meet what the actual relevant capacities are as well. The last standard of excellence I think is really worth mentioning, though, is that relational one. Here we are in our 50s, still competing together. It's the same team, right? And still cooperating, collaborating, still totally invested, friends for life, right? Thank you very much.